Algebra 1, Sensei Learning System, lesson number 16. We're going to factor all of these, and we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. Now we have 18, 15, and 6. The greatest number that can be divided into all three of these will be the number 3. So I'm going to divide each by 3. Then I'm going to write the greatest common factor here on the outside of a large parenthesis that will hold all three terms. Okay, 18x squared divided by 3 leaves 6x squared. Negative 15 divided by 3 leaves negative 5 and the x. And negative 6 divided by 3 leaves negative 2. Now, to check and see if this is correct, we can use distributive property with the 3. So use distributive property to check. So 3 times 6x to the second power will give us 18x to the second power. That matches the original. 3 times negative 5x is negative 15x. That does match the original. And 3 times negative 2 gives us negative 6, and that does match the original. So this checks out. Our factoring was correct. Next, the greatest common factor for 54, 63, and 45 would be 9. I can divide 9 into each of these. I can also divide 3 into all these, but 9 is the greatest common factor. So we'll divide them all by 9. Also, this ends with x. Your final or your last variable is also part of your greatest common factor. That's if your variable's in order, descending order. So I can divide all these not only by 9, but 9x. 9 and 9x. So 9x becomes our greatest common factor. So we'll put 9x here, the greatest common factor outside of a parenthesis here. And then 54 divided by 9 leaves us 6. And x to the third divided by x leaves us x to the second. Negative 63 divided by 9 is negative 7. X squared divided by x gives us x. Negative 45 divided by 9 gives us negative 5. And x divided by x cancels. And let me move the parenthesis a little closer here. Okay. Now, one more time we're going to check. After this we won't check anymore. Distributive property lets us check to see if we did it right. So 9x times 6x to the second power will be 9 times 6 is 54. X times x to the second power is x to the third power. And that matches 54x to the third power. 9 times negative 7 is negative 63. And x times x is x to the second power. And that matches the negative 63x to the second power. Next, 9 times negative 5 is negative 45 times x gives us negative 45x. And that matches with the last term here, the original term. So this factoring is correct. Okay, next. This can be divided all by 7. And there are no x's at the end. So 7 is your only GCF. So we'll divide everything by 7. So this will give us 7. And 7 divided by 7 gives us 1 x to the second power. And negative 14 divided by 7 gives us negative 2. And then we'll close it. Okay, and you can write this as 7 x to the second power minus 2. It's the same without or without the 1. Okay, here we have a 6 and a 4. They both can be divided by 2, so that's my greatest common factor. And it does end with an x, so GCF also includes x. So our GCF is 2x. So we'll put our GCF out here, 2x. And then we'll say 6 divided by 2 is 3. X to the second power divided by x is x. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And x divided by x is 1, which cancels. And that is it. Okay, next. Okay, we have a leading negative. So our GCF of 12 and 15 would be a 3. But because it leads with a negative, that means the first term is negative, then our GCF is negative 3. So we'll divide all of these by negative 3. It also ends with an x here at the end. So x is also part of our greatest common factor. So we'll divide everything by negative 3 and x. So let's write negative 3 here and x. Now parenthesis. Okay, so negative 12 divided by negative 3 gives us positive 4. And x to the third power divided by x gives us x to the second power. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 gives us positive 5. And x divided by x cancels, leaving us just with the 5. Okay, here it leads with a negative, so our GCF is going to be negative. And 36, 42, 30, and 6. All of these can be divided by 6. So I'm going to divide by a negative 6 in each turn. and there's no variable at the end, so negative 6 is your only GCF. So let's write negative 6 and then a parenthesis. Negative 36 divided by negative 6 gives us positive 6, x to the third power. Negative 42 divided by negative 6 gives us positive 7, x to the second power. Negative 30 divided by negative 6 gives us positive 5, x. And positive 6 divided by negative 6 gives us negative 1. Okay, number 7. We have a 3, 12, 15, and 3x. All of these can be divided by 3. And the last term here ends with an x, and it is in descending order, so x is a part of your GCF as well. So your GCF is 3x. So here's your greatest common factor here, your GCF. And then we're going to divide. 3 divided by 3 leaves 1. X to the fourth divided by x leaves x cubed. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. X cubed divided by x is x to the second. Negative 15 divided by positive 3 leaves negative 5. And x squared divided by x is x. Positive 3 divided by 3 is 1. And x divided by x cancels. And we're finished. Okay, here. 15, 4, and 8. The only thing that will divide in each of these would be a 1. So if we divided everything by 1, we would get 1 parentheses. 15 divided by 1 is 15, x squared. 4 divided by 1 is 4 with x. And negative 8 divided by 1 is negative 8. And remember, 1s are understood. Therefore, this cannot be factored. Okay, next, we have a 4, 8, and 12. Each of these can be divided by 4. And the last term is an x squared, so they can be divided by 4 and an x squared. So 4x squared will be our greatest common factor. So let's write the greatest common factor here, 4x squared. And then 4 divided by 4 leaves 1. X to the fourth divided by x leaves x squared. Positive 8 divided by 4 leaves 2. X to the third power divided by x leaves x. And negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. And the x squares cancel. And we're finished. Okay. A 9 and a 48 both can be divided by 3. I think that's the largest number that we can divide them both by. So that's our greatest common factor will be 3. So this will be 3 times 9 divided by 3 gives us 3 times x to the third power. Positive 48 divided by 3 is going to be positive. Let's see, 3 goes into 4 one time, leaving an 18. And then 3 goes into 18 6 times. And there we are. Okay. Next, 17 and 34. These both can be divided by 17. And the last term ends with an x. So our GCF will be 17x. So we'll divide this by 17x. So our GCF, 17x, parentheses. 17 divided by 17 is 1. X to the third power divided by x is x to the second power. 34, positive 34 divided by positive 17 gives us 2. And x divided by x cancels. And that's the end of our problem. Okay, this one leads with a negative, so our GCF is going to be negative. We have a 27 and 48. Let's think about that. I know these both can be divided by 3, but can I divide them by more than 3? Are there any higher timetables? I think that's about it. Okay, they only can be divided by 3. And since it ends with x squared, my GCF will be negative 3 and x squared. So negative 3x squared, negative 3x squared. So let's write our GCF, negative 3x squared here. And negative 27 divided by negative 3 gives us positive 9. X to the third power divided by x gives us x. Positive 48 divided by negative 3 gives us negative 16. And x squared divided by x squared cancels. And so that's the end of our problem. Okay, number 13. We have 18, 54, 45, should I say, negative 27, and 9. These all can be divided by 9, and there's no final x term here. So we'll divide everything by 9 for our GCF. So GCF is 9. 18 divided by 9 leaves 2 times x to the fourth power. Positive 45 divided by 9 leaves 5 x to the third power. Negative 27 divided by positive 9 leaves negative 3, x to the second power. And 9 divided by 9 is 1. And we're finished. Okay, down here, it leads with a negative, so our GCF is going to have a negative, and it ends with x squared, so we'll also have an x squared. Then out of 18, 27, 45, and 18, I think all these are in the 9 timetables. So I'm going to divide all of these by 9. Should I say negative 9 x to the second power. So negative 9 x to the second power, negative 9 x to the second power, and negative 9 x to the second power. Negative 9 x to the second power will be multiplied by negative 18 divided by negative 9 is positive 2. X to the fifth power divided by x to the second power leaves x to the third power. Positive 27 divided by negative 9 leaves us negative 3. X to the fourth power divided by x to the second power leaves us x to the second power. Negative 45 divided by negative 9 will give us positive 5. X to the third power divided by x to the second power leaves us with 1x. Negative 18 divided by negative 9 gives us positive 2. And x squared divided by x squared cancels, and this is our final answer.